On our 5th anniversary, I proposed to Lynn for the 5th time, but once again, she left me alone at the proposal venue. For Hiin Yin, she said, "I'll indulge him this last time. He's sensitive. If he loses face in front of so many people, he'll definitely do something rash." Half an hour later, he posted on social media, "Love has no first come, first served. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel." I didn't go find Lynn to question her as usual. I just calmly gave it a like. I told the system, I want to leave this world and go home. After Lynn left, I had the wedding company clean up the site and told everyone to leave. Anyway, I had no ties in this world. Everyone who came was her friend. She was the one embarrassed. When Lynn came back, I was negotiating with the system about when I could go home. She even brought the cake from the west side of the city that I liked the most. She observed my expression while saying, "You understand today's situation. I couldn't refuse, but I promise you, this is really the last time. This kind of thing won't happen again." I understood that she was worried that Hiin Yin would do something rash if he lost face in front of so many people, but she had the heart to leave me at the proposal venue. What an irony. I had been with her for 5 years. We finally bought a house and a car, and we were about to enter the hall of marriage, but time and time again, she followed Hiin Yin and ran off, making me the joke that her friends discussed in their free time, all because Hiin Yin chased her for 3 years, and she felt like she owed him. When Lynn first started working at the hospital, she inadvertently helped him, and Hiin Yin fell in love with her at first sight. He sent fruits and coffee to the hospital every day, without fail, even knowing she had a boyfriend. He still confessed boldly. At first, Lynn disliked and loathed him, but now, when she mentions him, she has a helpless yet doting smile. Lynn put a piece of cake in my mouth and coaxed softly. "Still angry?" I opened my mouth and ate the piece of cake, calmly saying, "I'm not angry." Hearing that, Lynn was stunned for a moment, like she didn't know what to say. Right now, my mind was full of how to discuss with the system again. I didn't want to stay in this world for another month. I wanted to go home and eat the spicy hot pot from that shop at the end of the alley. My name is Lou Gannon, and I am a strategist. The first time I met Lynn, she was like a little sun to everyone around her. As the top science student in the college entrance exam, she was admitted to M University. She was also very beautiful, attracting countless gazes wherever she went. So when the system told me that she was my target, I was lost, feeling like this mission was like asking me to reach for a star in the sky, but thinking that if I succeeded in the strategy, I could return to my original world and wake up healthy, I still did my best. The identity the system arranged for me was a classmate in the same year as her, but in a different major. I joined her street dance club and even took lessons outside of school. Every time the club had an activity, I would actively participate, just so she would glance at me a little more. But even when the club president said I had improved rapidly, Lynn never looked at me more than once. Later, during one of their medical school's rural outreach activities, I signed up as a volunteer to participate. At that time, there was an old lady at the top of a mountain. Lynn and another classmate went to treat her, but on the way, Lynn slipped and fell off a cliff. I, standing next to her, also fell down in an attempt to grab her. As we rolled down the mountain together, a sharp rock was about to hit her head. Careful, I used all my strength to protect her behind me, and the sharp rock ultimately hit my stomach. When the pain hit, I thought the worst outcome was that I would return to my original world and continue to be a vegetable in a coma, but saving a life was still worth it. While Lynn hugged me, waiting for rescue, she asked, trembling, "Why are you so silly? You risk your own life to save someone else." I forced myself to cheer her up, jokingly saying, "Who told me to fall in? Love with you at first sight?" She was stunned for a moment, not responding, but just told me to hang in there. At the hospital, she took care of me around the clock until I recovered and was discharged. We were friends for 3 years, until a change in our situation during our senior year, when our relationship progressed. That year, her family had a sudden accident. Her parents died, and the family's company faced bankruptcy. In order to manage the family company, she intended to give up her dream of becoming a doctor. When she came to the school to complete the withdrawal procedures, I stopped her. "Lynn, Are you willing to give up now? Lynn laughed bitterly. I'm not willing, but what else can I do? I can't let my parents' efforts go to waste. I looked at her, seriously and firmly. If you trust me, leave the company to me and you focus on being a doctor. It just so happens that I'm studying management, so I'll treat it as an internship. She stared at me blankly for a few seconds, then suddenly hugged me tightly. The tears that fell soaked my shoulder. Later, during that most difficult time, I balanced my studies while managing her company. Maybe there was a bug in the system, because I was very good at handling company affairs. Lynn's way of addressing me changed from L to Ganan and then to Inan. The day Lynn received her medical license, the system told me that the target's love for me had reached 100% and asked if I wanted to leave the world. I hesitated. That's right. Because I had genuinely fallen in love with Lynn during the strategy process. While I was struggling, Lynn stood before a sky full of dazzling fireworks. Her dark eyes reflected the fireworks in the sky, and the love in her eyes was almost overflowing. Then she said, "Let's be together forever." Meeting her eyes full of love, the seed that had been planted in my heart long ago suddenly broke through the soil. So after completing the mission, I stayed for her. But unexpectedly, everything changed. Later, the first time I proposed, Hiin Yin knocked over the photo wall I had spent 3 days making. I was so angry I had tears in my eyes. But before I could say anything, he ran out like he had been wronged. Lynn blamed me for making a big deal out of it and ran after him. The second time I proposed, Hiin Yin ran over drunk, hugged Lynn, and cried. In the end, Lynn sent him home. The third time, the fourth time, Hiin Yin used different tricks to take Lynn away until the fifth time I proposed. Hiin Yin knelt in front of Lynn, holding a ring he had made himself. Lynn, I've been chasing after you for 4 years, and every time I confess to you, it ends in failure. Today is the last time. If I still fail, I will never appear in front of you again. Lynn hesitated. She looked back at me, a trace of struggle and guilt flashing in her eyes. Then she softly explained, "I'm sorry." She continued, "I want to be with Hiin Yin one last time. He's so awkward, and it would be so embarrassing to be rejected in front of so many people." It was the fifth time I proposed to Lynn, and once again she left me alone at the proposal venue. I had been prepared for this, but it still hurt. She told me, "I'll indulge him this last time. He's sensitive. If he loses face in front of so many people, he might do something rash." Half an hour later, I saw the post from him on social media. "Love has no first come, first served. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel." I didn't go after Lynn to question her like I used to. This time I just calmly liked the post. I told myself, I want to leave this world and go home after Lynn. I had no ties to this world anymore. The friends who came were all her friends. She was the one who should be embarrassed. When Lynn came back, she brought me the cake I liked from the west side of the city. She watched me as I ate it and softly said, "I understand today's situation. I won't let this happen again next time." I wasn't angry, and I didn't feel the need to confront her like before. I just ate the cake, calmly replying, "I'm not angry." Her surprise was evident. She didn't know how to respond to me being so calm. In the past, I'd been upset for a long time. She would apologize and then eventually grow impatient, telling me the proposal was just a formality, that I shouldn't make such a big deal of it. "Can't you just pity him and fulfill his wish?" she would say. But I was different now. I'd grown tired. I'd seen her change. She had started becoming busier, busy sleeping in longer, busy exploring restaurants with him, busy driving him to work, until I stopped asking her to drive me places. She didn't even have time for me anymore. I gently set the fork down and casually said, "No need. I've already gotten my driver's license." She froze. "When did you get your driver's license?" I explained. "It was after the time I had a high fever and couldn't reach you. I wanted to go to the hospital." I could tell she was taken aback. She knew about my driving phobia, but she hadn't known that I had overcome it. I'd had to become independent after realizing how much she had drifted away from me. Ignoring the lost look on her face, I got up, threw the cake box into the trash, and went back to my room to sleep. The next evening, she cooked dinner for me, trying to make up for it. But when I sat down at the table, looking at the seafood she had prepared, I felt nothing but discomfort. She peeled a shrimp for me and put it in my bowl, saying, "Eat. I know it's your favorite." "I don't like it," I replied coldly. She looked at me with anger in her eyes, frustrated. The proposal was just a formality, and I was the one being proposed to. I didn't even mind. "Do you really need to be this petty? Can't you just be happy we're together?" Her words stung, but I calmly explained, "I'm allergic to seafood. I only ate it with you because you liked it." She was silent for a moment, remembering all the times I peeled shrimp for her. She didn't realize how much I had sacrificed for her until now. She stuttered, "But you used to eat it before," I replied flatly. So every time I ate it, I would immediately take allergy medicine. The guilt in her eyes was unmistakable. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I was just afraid you were angry about the proposal. I know you're just friends with him," I said. I stood up, made myself a fried rice with egg, and sat down to eat. Lynn stared at me for a long time, confused and upset. After a long silence, she said, "It's good that you understand the principle." She turned and left for the bedroom. She had gotten used to me always coming back to her, always taking the initiative to make things right. But now, since I had decided to leave this world, I didn't care about her indifference anymore. I started preparing the handover documents for the work I was managing, preparing for my departure. This would be my last gift to Lynn. I used my savings over the years to buy a lot of clothes, fruit, and health supplements, and drove them to the old folks' home in the south of the city, where many elderly people without children live. Standing at the entrance, looking at the grandparents I hadn't seen in a long time, I couldn't help but feel a little sad, knowing I wouldn't see these elders again. This was an old folks' home that Lynn and I often visited whenever we had free time. We'd come here to see the grandparents and listen to their stories from the past. While I was feeling down, a cheerful old grandpa came over, took my hand, and said kindly, "Little Lou, you're here again. Why do you look so unhappy today?" The other grandparents also gathered around. Suddenly, one grandmother looked behind me and asked curiously, "Lou, why are you alone today? Where's your girlfriend?" Just as I was about to explain, Lynn's voice appeared behind me. "Grandpa, Grandma, I want to park the car. Did you miss me?" I turned around and saw Lynn standing there, holding 2 bags of fruit, staring intently at me. After handing out the items, the grandparents invited us to stay for dinner. At the dinner table, perhaps because of their life experience, many of the elderly people could see that something was wrong between Lynn and me. One grandmother took Lynn's hand and said, "Ching ching, over the years, little Lou has borne all that pressure for you. You two have been through so much together. You must treat little Lou well, or you'll regret it when it's too late." Hearing the grandmother's words, Lynn seemed to recall some things from the past. Her eyes flickered, with guilt and a hint of barely perceptible unease as she looked at me. Before leaving, she held my hand and said, "I saw that your favorite theater actor has a show tonight, and I've already bought tickets. I'll go with you." Before she finished speaking, her phone rang. She looked at the screen, a little flustered, then hung up. But the next second, it rang again. Lynn hesitated for a long time before finally answering. "Senior, I lost a game, and they said that if you don't come over, I have to eat all the chili peppers on the table." Hiin Yin's flustered voice came through the receiver. Lynn didn't immediately agree like she used to. She glanced at me, standing to the side, looking conflicted. Hiin Yin, hearing Lynn's hesitation, sobbed. "Senior, you're busy, but the others are cheering. Eat it. Hurry up and eat it. You have to honor the bet." Lynn immediately got anxious and yelled towards the phone, "Don't force him. I'll be over right away." After hanging up, she cautiously said, "Hein's in trouble. I'll go help him sort it out." She held my hand, promising me resolutely, "I'll be back soon. I won't miss the play with you." I inconspicuously pulled my hand away and said calmly, "Be safe on the road." A half-hearted change of heart is like pouring a bucket of water into a vast desert, meaningless. I had no expectations of her anymore. As we looked at each other, Lynn suddenly hugged me, then turned and left. At 10 in the evening, the play ended. My favorite stage actor's last tour performance of the year was also over. Lynn didn't come back. She probably wouldn't be back tonight. Maybe it was because of unwillingness, or perhaps the anger of not seeing the performance tonight, but my tolerance finally reached its limit. Even though I could leave soon, I went to the restaurant where they often gathered for dinner. After entering, I searched room by room. Finally, I saw them in the largest private room. Before I even entered, I heard a burst of cheering from inside. Through the crack in the door, I clearly saw Hiin Yin with a bit of tissue in his mouth, leaning down to kiss Lynn, who was sitting down. Lynn was stunned for a moment, but as soon as he leaned in, she took the initiative to raise her head and kiss him back. My heart felt like it was being repeatedly pierced by countless needles, a dense pain that made it impossible to breathe. Just as tears were about to fall, I raised my hand to wipe my face and directly pushed the door open, heading towards them. The moment I entered, all eyes in the room were drawn to me. A sudden slap echoed through the room. Lynn's face was turned to the side and it quickly swelled up. Hiin Yin cursed angrily, grabbed my arm and pushed me away. "Lou, what the hell are you doing? Why are you hitting people?" I looked at him without hesitation, raised my foot and kicked Lynn to the ground. Hiin Yin seemed to be shocked, sitting on the ground looking at me in disbelief. Lynn's scattered gaze finally focused a bit. She stood up unsteadily and reached out to me. Hearing those two words come from her mouth, I almost threw up. I picked up the wine on the table and splashed it hard on her face. Looking at the wine dripping from her hair and clothes, the anger in my heart had not subsided in the slightest. "Lynn, let's break up. I'm quitting this 3-person game." After saying this, I left without looking back. I was really tired and didn't want to play this childish game with her anymore. Whatever happens, let it be. After arriving home, I packed some important items and personal clothing. I didn't want anything else. I wouldn't need them in the future anyway. After opening the door, Lynn was standing at the entrance, panting and holding her keys. When she saw the suitcase I was carrying, she anxiously explained, "It's not what you saw. We were just playing a game. Just a game. Please don't be angry, okay? Everyone was playing. I can't be unsociable and not play, right? If you don't like it, I won't play with them anymore, okay?" Every word she said didn't seem to acknowledge anything wrong on her part. It was as if I was the one being unreasonable. It was as if I couldn't handle it. How come I didn't realize before that she was such a self-centered person? "What you do is none of my business anymore. Please move aside." "Lou, can't you guys stop being so petty?" "I already said it was just a game," Lynn snapped impatiently. I sneered. She would never admit that she was wrong. She was always right. The person I had loved for so long, I didn't know when, had started to fester inside. She had begun to stink. I suddenly said, "Lynn, if I were like this with Jan Shura, would you still say it's just a game?" Lynn paused for a moment, then remembered who Jan Shura was. Before I got together with Lynn, Jan Shura had confessed to me. The day I rejected her, I treated her to a meal. After coming out, I ran into Lynn. She had walked over with a dark face to question me about my relationship with Jan Shura. Looking at Lynn's expression slowly turning panicked, I chuckled. "Lynn, so that phrase, 'it's just a game,' is just for deceiving yourself. But I don't care." I didn't expect Lynn R. watching to keep pestering me. She humbly admitted her mistake and repeatedly promised that she wouldn't contact Hiin Yin again. But I couldn't understand what she was thinking. She didn't love me anymore, so why was she still so tangled up in all this? She even brought up the grandparents in the nursing home, which made my anger flare up, aching all over. I had no choice but to ignore her, treating her like she was invisible. Lynn seemed almost possessed by something unclean. She brought me meals every day, sent flowers and gifts, always changing it up, like our positions had reversed. Now, it was her constantly messaging me, sharing her daily life, saying sweet nothings, and waiting for me to come home. No matter how late I came back, I'd see her waiting figure at the hotel entrance. I sighed helplessly. "There's no need to wait for me, you should go home," I told her, but her eyes, "How can I sleep if you're not home?" she replied. Hearing those familiar words, I suddenly remembered all those nights I had waited for her to come home, saying the same thing. "Lynn, you know how unpleasant it feels to wait, right? But you can't even stand waiting for a few days while I waited for you for years." A week later, I wanted to go travel, but I realized my passport was still at home. With no other choice, I had to go back to get it. Just as I finished getting my passport and was about to leave, Lynn R. watching returned. Seeing me going back, she thought I wasn't angry anymore and reached out to hug me, standing on her tiptoes to kiss me. I pushed her away and quickly stepped back. She lost her balance and fell to the ground. Lynn finally exploded in anger. "Have you made enough of a fuss? I really don't understand. Nothing happened between me and Hiin Yin, so why do you have to break up with me? I already apologized to you humbly and promised there wouldn't be a next time. What more do you want?" The look in her eyes was full of accusation. She had always thought I was just being unreasonable. In her mind, as long as she didn't sleep with Hiin Yin, it didn't count as cheating. I found it a bit ridiculous, so I actually laughed. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, she took the initiative to approach me and said softly, "Okay then, let's not fight anymore. You said you don't like the Cold War. Let's make up." I remained silent for a long time, and finally I made a request. "Okay, as long as you delete Hiin Yin and don't contact him until the end of this month, I won't break up with you. The end of the month is when I'm going home. By then, whether we break up or not, it won't matter anymore." When I was negotiating with the system, I questioned why I had to wait until a month later to leave. The system said, "That day is your birthday." I was speechless. The system was turning my birthday into a death anniversary. But then I remembered my birthday 5 years ago, when Lynn insisted that I make a wish to stay together forever, never to separate until death. Now, before death, her heart had already changed. Lynn didn't hesitate at all. Right in front of me, she blocked and deleted all of Hiin Yin's contact information. I also moved back home. She even took a year off work to stay home with me, all to avoid Hiin Yin. She started planning a proposal, saying this time she would propose to me, guaranteeing there wouldn't be any accidents. She asked me to believe in her one more time. Lynn scheduled the proposal for the end of the month on my birthday. I guess fate had already arranged it. Everything seemed destined. The wish I made 5 years ago came true. On the day of the proposal, I carefully groomed myself and put on the suit Lynn liked most. When Lynn knelt on one knee, her eyes were full of love, just like they were under the fireworks 5 years ago. If Hiin Yin had messaged me yesterday, I would have really thought today would go smoothly. But when I saw him, knife in hand, to his wrist, I wasn't surprised at all. He yelled at Lynn, breaking down, "Why? Why are you proposing to him? Do you love him that much? Can't you love me?" "Shut up." Lynn held my hand tightly, glaring coldly at Hiin Yin. "Today, I am proposing to him, and I won't allow anyone to ruin it." If I could have felt her hand, the one holding mine, trembling slightly, I might have truly believed it. But Lynn was lying. Hiin Yin smiled bitterly, the light in his eyes seemingly extinguished in that instant. "Okay then. I wish you happiness. I wish you both happiness. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you." He turned and walked out, dejected. It was as if he had lost all meaning in life. The knife in his hand sliced across his wrist, and a few drops of blood fell. "Hiin, what are you doing?" Lynn instinctively called out to him, but Hiin didn't turn back. He resolutely said, "I'm going to a place where you aren't." Then he drove away. Hiin Yin seemed unaffected, continuing to face me. "Are you willing? Are you willing?" Before she could say the last word, she suddenly took back the ring and with a hoarse voice said to me, "I'm sorry. I'm a doctor, and I can't just watch him die." After Lynn said this, she prepared to chase after He Ching. I grabbed her hand. If you leave this time, you will never see me again. Are you sure you want to abandon me for the 6th time? Actually, I didn't understand why I was asking a question I already knew the answer to. Maybe I just wanted to give the version of me in this world an ending, even if it wasn't a good one. Lynn stopped. The last trace of guilt in her eyes disappeared, replaced by reproach. Lynn, you've changed. You used to be so kind. You would save stray cats and dogs. Now, is a human life not worth more than a cat or dog? You've disappointed me so much. After speaking, she shook off my hand and rushed out, her back disappearing at light speed. I finally gave up. System, didn't you say last time that I could choose how I die? I've decided. I'll die from a sudden heart attack. Lynn Raching is the Deputy Director of Cardiology. I wonder what her reaction will be when she finds out about this. Just after speaking to the system, I felt my breathing become difficult. My consciousness blurred. The moment I collapsed, I heard the screams of the people around me. Then, I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was floating in the air of the hospital, watching the medical staff perform CPR on my body. I felt a bit strange. At that time, a doctor walked in with a phone. Director Lynn, there's a patient with an acute myocardial infarction who needs surgery. Is it convenient for you to come back now? Lynn's voice came from the receiver. I'm sorry. It's not my on-call day today, and I'm not in this city. I then realized that I had been sent to the hospital where Lynn worked, just as she had finished refusing a call. The monitor in front of my bed showed a flat line. The system said, "Let's go, host. I'll take you to watch a show." The next moment, I saw He Ching cupping Lynn's face and kissing her. I felt more anger than ever. That scumbag woman, she's truly hopeless. The system added, "Host, just endure a little longer. I can take you home soon." After they finished kissing, Lynn told He Ching to wait obediently and then rushed back to the proposal site to find me. On her way, she suddenly felt a great panic in her heart, as if something important was about to leave her. She slammed on the accelerator, wanting to see me sooner. She didn't even park the car properly and searched everywhere for me. There were only a few staff members tidying up. She grabbed one of them and anxiously asked, "Where's my boyfriend? Has anyone seen him?" The staff member was about to say something when Lynn's phone rang. She visibly breathed a sigh of relief and immediately answered it. But the next second, she froze. It was a call from the hospital. "Hello, is this Miss Lynn?" "This is Central City Hospital." The voice on the other end continued. Her hand gripped the phone, trembling with force, her knuckles turning white. "Yes, it is. Miss Lynn, your friend Lynn passed away due to a sudden myocardial infarction and failed resuscitation. Since you were listed as his emergency contact, we ask you to handle his funeral arrangements." Lynn stared at the staff member, muttering to herself, "How is that possible?" "Impossible. He was so healthy. How could he suddenly have a heart attack? It must be a prank. He was just fine a moment ago." The staff member suddenly spat at her, unable to hold back. "Isn't it because of you? On the day of the proposal, you left your boyfriend for someone else. He was too emotional and died of a sudden heart attack. Your boyfriend was really unlucky to meet you." Lynn trembled uncontrollably, murmuring, "Impossible. This is impossible." It seemed she couldn't believe I was dead. I coldly watched from the sidelines. The system commented, "Scumbag woman. There's more suffering ahead for her." When we followed Lynn to the entrance of the hospital morgue, I overheard two nurses talking as they passed. "I heard this man was supposed to be proposed to by his girlfriend today. Such a pity. What happened on such a happy day? He was still salvageable when he was sent here. But the director of cardiology was in surgery, and their deputy director happened to be out of town. The cardiologist had just hung up the phone when he passed away." Lynn was struck as if by lightning. She remembered that the patient she had just rejected was me. What was she doing at that time? She was kissing He Ching, patiently comforting him, and for that she refused to return for surgery. The nurses continued, The patient suddenly died after the phone call was hung up. She was the murderer who killed him. She killed him for another man. Lynn sat down at the morgue entrance, devastated. Finally, she broke down in tears, hugging her knees. The medical staff inside came out. "Are you the deceased's family? Deputy. Director Lynn, are you here?" Lynn tried several times before she could stand. "I'm here to take Lu Jinan home." The staff member hesitated, then said, "Please accept my condolences," and led her inside. She looked at my body covered by a white sheet, her hands trembling so much she could barely lift it. Only when her nails dug into her flesh did she steady her wrist and pull the sheet back. The moment she saw my face, tears poured from her eyes. She cried out my name, her voice breaking. "Wake up. Aren't you afraid of the cold? Let's go home. Okay? Get up. Let's go home. Don't ignore me. You said we'd never be apart. Through life, old age, sickness, and death. You can't leave me." She cried with such sorrow, like a child who had made a mistake. Each tear that fell on my face made me shiver in disgust. I asked the system, "Do you think she has some kind of multiple personality disorder?" The system replied, "It does seem like it. It's an illness. It needs to be treated." I hugged my arms, sighing. When can I finally escape from this world? The system comforted me. "Soon, host. Soon you'll be able to go back. The day she gets your urn." The day Lynn came to collect my ashes, it started to rain outside. She hugged the urn and wept in the rain. "I love you. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I love you. Please come back. I can't live without you." I covered my ears and ran into the portal the system had opened for me. The system said, "Goodbye, host. I wish you peace and prosperity." I really liked the gift, the lottery ticket. I looked at it and smiled. With the money, all the suffering I'd endured felt insignificant. The system then said, "By the way, Lynn committed suicide holding your urn." I immediately stopped the system. I don't want to hear about her. Whether she lives or dies, it has nothing to do with me. The system laughed. "Okay, host. This is really goodbye. Wishing you peace and prosperity." I looked at the lottery ticket in my hand, and in that moment, I felt content. Money and good health. What more could I ask for? Life was finally looking up. Good days are ahead.